Hi, this is Maj Swedan, co-founder of GeoVesting. Glad to be here today on behalf of Little Grapevine to talk to Doug Gaylor, President and COO of Crexendo Communications. Crexendo trades on the NASDAQ under the symbol CXDO. Crexendo has been a feature company of Little Grapevine for about a year now, a little over a year. And we thought it'd be a great time to basically get an update from Doug on 2020, the challenges he faced and how the company met those challenges in the face of the pandemic, and kind of give us an update of where they are today, especially since they just completed a pretty transformative acquisition, something that the market's been waiting for some time. So without further ado, let's welcome Doug to talk about his company. Welcome back, Doug.
Thanks, Maj. Great to be here, and always enjoying talking to the Little Grapevine community out there.
And we all equally enjoy it. So let's get right to it. Before we get into the acquisition, which everybody's waiting for, that you finally completed, let's talk about 2020. Give us a little update on how, for those who don't maybe are hearing the story for the first time, kind of a little background on what the company does, your little elevator pitch, and the 2020 challenges you face, how you met them, and where we are today.
Sure. No, absolutely, and love to tell the story here. It's an exciting time for us. Obviously, as you mentioned, we just did a acquisition that we'll talk a little bit more about that we announced on Monday of this week. But 2020 was a interesting year for us. We're a unified communication as a service provider. And what that is basically telephone services for businesses, so small, mid-size, and small enterprise businesses. And so we take legacy customers that are using older premise-based telephone equipment, and we move them to the cloud with cloud communications. And so that means that we ride everything over the internet. They don't have all the equipment at their offices anymore. And so it really allows them a lot of flexibility. It allows them a lot of mobility. It allows them the capabilities that the cloud brings that premise-based systems don't bring. And so we started the year last year, and we actually had a meeting with the Little Grapevine community down in Fort Lauderdale back in February of last year, which was a great time to have a meeting, because I think 2 or 3 weeks later the world shut down as we know it. So with the pandemic, with COVID onsetting right in March, I think they said today is the 1-year anniversary of when they declared it a pandemic. And the world changed as we know it. And I guess if there's a silver lining, it's the fact that unified communications really took front and center at that point, because businesses had to figure out how to allow their employees to work remote and still have communications going on. And so for us, it was a scary time, because it was the unknown, but it also brought a lot of highlights to what we do from a technology perspective. For our existing customers, it was great, because our existing customers were able to just unplug their phones, take them home, and start working remotely from home. So for our existing customers, they were golden, because our technology allowed them to do exactly what they needed to do, work remote. We have collaboration tool built into our solution that they were able to use right out of the gates and start collaborating and using Zoom-like type conferences and screen sharing and video conferencing. So our technology really helped out our existing customers immediately. For customers that were still using the older technology, it was difficult for them to make decisions, as they were trying to figure out how to get everybody to work remote. It wasn't something that they were, making changes to buy a new phone system. So Q1 was a good quarter for us. Q2, we saw a little bit of a slowdown in sales, because businesses were really kind of in that unknown area. They weren't sure what the pandemic was going to bring, and so they weren't sure if it was going to be a 1-month temporary thing or as we know it now, going on a year. So we saw a little bit of a slowdown in Q2. Q3 started picking up sales as businesses started realizing that we were in a new normal, and they were going to have to adapt to the new normal. We saw a little bit of higher churn in Q3 with some of the small businesses that we have not being able to make that conversion, and unfortunately saw a little bit of an uptick in churn. And then Q4 kind of resumed back to normal. So when we look at the year as a whole, we finished at 16.4 million in total revenue. That was up 16% from the prior year. So with all things being considered, with the headwinds, with the pandemic, 16% increase in revenue, we were pretty pleased with that. And then from a bottom line perspective, we continued our quarter over quarter and year over year growth with profitable growth. And again, when we look at the sector, not many people in our sector can claim profitability, and we've had now, I think, 10 quarters worth of consistent profitable growth. And so when we finished the year actually with 16.4 million in revenue and 7.4 million to the bottom line. That 7.4 million included a DTA, deferred tax allowance, VAL allowance that we were able to get on our NOLs and also our PPP loan forgiveness. So still a very profitable year for us. So EBITDA very profitable, and even with the two exceptions there, a 7.4 million bottom line on 16.4 total revenue. So really pleased with the way that the year ended up from a dollars and cents perspective. And as we talked about, we did an acquisition that was worked on through most of the year. It didn't happen towards the end of the year as we were hoping. You get the lawyers involved and the accountants involved, and it takes a little bit longer to get all of the diligence done. But we announced that acquisition just this week on Monday, and really excited to talk about that as we get into our little conversation here.
Yeah, and that's great, man. Yeah, you had a really good year considering what happened, in 2020, and I think every quarter you grew revenue, even though maybe it wasn't as fast as you would have wanted it to, and you were profitable throughout the whole way. So that's just awesome. And one thing I want to ask before I get into the acquisition, which is a pretty nice story you have to share with us on that, I think. But I've been talking to a lot of management teams recently in the UCaaS and cloud communication arena, trying to understand it more. And because we get a lot of questions from investors, how all these companies different from each other, from Zoom. So can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what makes some of these companies different? And it's just on the really most broadest level. Oh, I have Zoom. What do I need to use? What do I need Crexendo for? Tell us how you might be different than Zoom.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Zoom is obviously a collaboration tool, and it's a good collaboration tool. We've got a similar collaboration tool that we call our Crexendo Connects, which is our collaboration tool, which allows us to do screen sharing and video, much like we're doing on this Zoom session right now. Zoom is primarily a collaboration tool, so it doesn't allow you to have the interoffice communications that you're used to with a communication platform. So the Crexendo solution allows you to have your phone numbers coming into your phone, and your phone isn't necessarily the black phone on your desk anymore, because your desk might be at home, and maybe you don't have a black phone at home anymore. But if you've got your desk phone, you can have your mobile phone in the same ring group. You can have it ring to your home phone. You've got voicemail, you've got intercom capabilities, you've got record capabilities. So when we think about Zoom, Zoom is a good collaboration tool, but I would tell you that when we first started using the video applications back in February and March, everybody was using the video, and now when you do a video conference, most people turn off their video because they don't want to be seen. And so when you think about voice communication, I don't think voice communication is ever going to go away. Even the black phone on the desk, when you think about your doctor's office and law firms and accountants and that are still going into the office, they want that desk phone there that's separated from their cell phone and still allows them to have office communications aside from their cell phone communication. So we really kind of differentiate ourselves from the competition by the fact that we've got an all-encompassing cloud-based communication solution that allows businesses to have their auto attendants, to have their call center groups, to have reports on what their people are doing. So that's a great example. With the remote capabilities that we've had now for the last year, if a business had 25 employees and now all 25 employees are working from their house, with our system, you've got reports that you can get on a daily basis to find out how many calls Joey made and how many calls Susie made and how many calls Billy made. And so, at the end of the day, I can find out, if Billy's supposed to be handling customer service calls and he didn't handle any calls today, is he sitting around home watching Oprah and not doing his job? And so, I can look at those reports and make sure that people are accountable. And that's one of the things that I think with remote working with COVID, has really been a challenge for a lot of businesses is, are my employees truly as effective and efficient as they need to be? Well, with our system, you've got reports, you've got capabilities to be able to drill down on that and actually see what they've been doing and how efficient and how effective they've been working throughout the pandemic.
Actually, and it is kind of cool that you actually do have a hardware solution. I mean, a lot of companies are going away in this industry, went away from that. So if there are customers that need that, you have that solution for them. Can your technology or your platform work with other people's hardware, other phones?
Sure. So we make our own phones. We've got our Crexendo branded phones, but we also use industry standard phones from Polycom, from Cisco, from Yealink, from Grandstream. So we can use any voice over IP phones on our platform. So that allows customers that maybe are on a Ring Central or an 8x8 to easily migrate their phones over to our system. So that's an easy migration for them. And then, we're seeing more and more customers that don't necessarily want the black phone on their desk. And so they've got, soft phones. So we've got soft phone capabilities. We've got the mobile application. So, if somebody doesn't want a actual hardware phone on their desk or at their home, no problem. We can do everything through a soft phone on their laptop. We can do everything through a mobile app on their cell phone.
Excellent. All right, Doug. So let's talk about the acquisition in the Sapiens. Tell us how you came about learning about the company, how you met them, and that whole process from beginning to end.
No, it's pretty exciting acquisition for us. It's going to be a revolutionary change for us, and so we're extremely excited about bringing the Sapiens team on board. Ironically enough, I met them at the same time that I came out to do the Little Grapevine presentation to your community in February of last year. So timing was just perfect when you invited me out to do a presentation to your group, because we already had a meeting scheduled out in Miami. We had a Cloud Communication Alliance, which is a pretty neat alliance. It's an alliance within our industry that has, I think, 200 or 300 members in it. And those members are as large as the Ring Centrals and the Vonages and the 8x8s, down to the Crexendos, down to even startup companies in the communication sector. And it's a really great alliance because everybody checks their ego at the door, and we share best practices, and we really kind of learn about what our competition's doing. So, although when you're out in the battlefield, you want to beat your competition all the time. When we go to these alliance meetings, it's really, again, checking your ego at the door and just talking about what's going on in the industry. And so when you invited me out last February, it was just great timing because I was planning on being out there for the Alliance meeting. And the Alliance meeting is actually where I had some pretty good meetings with Anand Butch, who is the CEO of NetSapiens. And so that just started some of the conversations, and those conversations picked up a little bit of steam shortly thereafter. And, we've been looking for the right fit for Crexendo, and we've been talking about acquisitions for quite some time. And I keep using the analogy that we kiss a lot of frogs trying to find the right prince or princess. And so, it just so happened that when Anand and I started talking about the opportunities, it just really became pretty evident pretty quick that they were a perfect fit for us, and we were a perfect fit for them. They were looking how they were going to continue their growth strategy, and we were looking for something that would really be a game changer for us. And so it's really made for a tremendous opportunity going forward. Obviously, we can't talk too many details because we've got a proxy coming out. So we signed the definitive agreement on Monday. The acquisition cost, as we talked about in the press release, is a little bit over $50 million. $10 million of that is cash, the rest is stock. And so we've got a proxy vote or a proxy that's coming out that'll require shareholder approval. And we're hoping to have that proxy out within the next couple of weeks, and hopefully having shareholder approval, if all goes well, by the end of April. So we would love to get the deal finally consummated and put to bed here by the end of April, beginning of May. And so when we think about what we do versus what NetSapiens says, we're a UCaaS provider selling directly to our end users. NetSapiens is a UCaaS provider selling a platform to resellers that sell their platform. And they actually have 1.7 million end users using their platform today, not only in the US, but internationally as well. So that gives them a tremendous amount of market share out there. but still a tremendous amount of market share still to gain. The statistics that we've continued to talk about on our presentations, Maj, is that 60% of the country still has not migrated their business to the cloud. So it's down from 70% to 60%. So we'll continue to see that migration. I think COVID will help that migration happen even more quickly. And so companies like NetSapiens has a platform that allows individual companies across the U.S. to be able to put NetSapiens platform in and have their own UCaaS offering out there. So extremely excited about their growth and their capabilities there, and it's really going to propel us. So if you think about we've used in previous presentations, we've talked about Cisco acquiring BroadSoft. BroadSoft is a platform very similar to NetSapiens. And then last year, Microsoft acquired Metaswitch. Metaswitch was the second largest provider of platforms in the U.S. And Microsoft acquired Metaswitch last year. So it's a really nice fit for Crexendo to acquire a large platform provider like NetSapiens.
So maybe do this again, Doug, please. Maybe explain again what does NetSapiens bring to you, and what do you bring to NetSapiens? I guess how do you work together? That'd really help a lot.
Yeah, great. So NetSapiens brings to us a tremendous platform that has a tremendous amount of end users already utilizing it. They also bring some tools that we don't have inherently in our product. I talked about our Crexendo Connects, which is our collaboration tool. That's a white label product that we have. So it's our video tool, it's our screen sharing tool, much like Zoom that we talked about. But we don't actually own that technology. We white label that technology. NetSapiens has built their own Zoom-like capability, Snap HD. It's a fantastic product. As I look at this Zoom screen, it's very similar to Zoom. And so, we will own that technology going forward. And so, now we won't have cost associated with every collaboration license. So it's a great tool for us there. They've got a tremendous engineering staff that has worked on the platform for quite some time and has built a tremendous amount of application integration. So they have over 240 API integrations in their API library. And that means that applications like Microsoft Teams, like Salesforce integration are already built and ready to go on the platform. So where the Crexendo platform doesn't have a Teams integration, the NetSapiens platform already has Teams integration ready to go. So it allows Crexendo to have access to a great platform, great capabilities, some feature functionality that we don't currently have on the Crexendo side of the equation. And that's really a great go forward plan. And it also allows us to have a package now that we can go out. Most of our partners today on the Crexendo side are just on a revenue share basis. They don't have the capability to repackage it as their own. Now we've got an offering that we can go out there and allow partners on the Crexendo side, if they choose to have a package that they can repackage as their own. And so that's a great combination. From the NetSapiens side, they get the business acumen that Crexendo brings with a tremendous amount of telecom experience and management to help grow the business. They get the financial aspect of having the resources to help them grow. As a smaller organization, that was one of their limiting factors from a growth perspective is getting the capital to be able to grow. And so the combination of Crexendo and NetSapiens will allow them to continue their tremendous growth path, and likewise, the NetSapiens combination with Crexendo will allow us to keep our growth going in the same direction as well.
Excellent, excellent. I can't wait to see the more details when you file an 8K with more details on the company. I mean, they have about 11 million in revenue. You did disclose that, right? I think in your.
Yeah, we disclosed the range of 11 to 12 million in 2020.
Okay, great. So that's awesome, and it's great to see that you got your boots in the ground, going to these trade shows. It shows a lot about your management team and what you guys are willing to do to really still try to make connections and just get out there and get business and find these opportunities.
I think as we've talked about, Maj, I mean, it's a total hands-on approach. I mean, I've been in the industry for a long time, as the rest of the management team has, and so we don't leave any stone unturned. So we're in the trenches every day, and I think our management style and our cost management allows us to grow the business and grow it profitably, and always taking care of our shareholders, and the fact that we run the business very tight and very strong.
So now, not just one last thing on that. So the $11 to $12 million range is a pretty significant amount when you consider you did 16.4 million in 2020. So it's a nice addition to revenue there. And it's interestingly, during your conference call, I think your CEO Steve Mahalo talked about maybe looking for more acquisitions, and maybe they'll actually be bigger ones than this one. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Is there anything you'd like to talk about your acquisition strategy going forward? Like what kind of companies you might be looking for to continue to round out your platform and what you're doing?
Yeah, I think as we've talked about in the past, I think that our acquisition strategy has been buying accretive revenue streams, customer bases out there that have monthly recurring revenue coming in, that have long-term contracts. So, where the NetSapiens fits that model because they've got all of their resellers that have recurring revenue coming in on long-term contracts. It's not end user contracts, so it's a little deviation from looking at just buying end users out there. So still a tremendous amount of opportunities and still a lot of irons in the fire from that perspective. So, I continue to have conversations with UCaaS providers that have, just a total platform and are selling it to end users. And so, if you think about, just like NetSapiens, they've got 170 plus resellers out there selling their platform. And so they're selling their platform to end users. And so ultimately, those partners, if they're ever looking for an exit strategy, that's an option that they can come knock on our door. But currently, we're still talking to a lot of different, BroadSoft and Metaswitch and other resellers out there that have customer bases. And if they're looking for an exit strategy, that's an ideal acquisition target for us. And so, as Steve talked about with our future acquisition plans, this isn't one and done. This is one to continue to build on, and still many, many more opportunities in the works out there.
Hey, thanks, Doug. It might be awesome, and then when you do close, if you do close on that Sapiens deal, to maybe have a chat with that team at some point together on the fireside.
Oh, absolutely. I think that our management teams get along extremely well. There's a lot of great synergies there. So, post acquisition, maybe in the May timeframe, would love to do a combination call with myself and Anand Butch, the CEO of NetSapiens, and I think that would be a great introduction for him to the community.
All right, thanks, Doug. I think that was a good update on 2020 and the acquisition. So that's a nice follow-up call later on this year, and we'll also follow up with an updated presentation once you to put on Little Grapevine once you have a NetSapiens wrapped into the company. Yep. Once again, CXDO is Crexendo trades with the symbol CXDO on the NASDAQ, and we're here with Doug Gaylor, President and COO of Crexendo. Thanks, Doug. Talk to you soon.
Thanks much. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Have a great year, and we'll look forward to our next conversation.
Great, man.